The Sentinel is known to be reliable, fearless, disciplined, consistent, courageous, motivated, and skillful.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
All these qualities start from the mind. Your mind can be your worst enemy or your most powerful weapon.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Is this the dagger?
Learn how to achieve greatness and tap into the Sentinel mindset.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a wonderful, wonderful special edition of the Sentinel Mindset. And today we've got a very special guest, and her name is Brianna St. Cyr.
Yes.
Did I say that properly?
You did, yes.
Beautiful.
I know
you.
It's hard to pronounce. A lot of people get it wrong, but you did a great job.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I actually screwed them up, so this is actually a wonderful day today.
Yeah, hey, which makes it special.
Which makes it special.
Yeah.
So, Brianna, thank you so much for coming down. Now,
Yeah.
how we found out about Brianna is Steve Somerville and his wonderful Stay Safe sessions, who he puts together on Train the Trainers.
Well, he's changing the world one session at a time.
One session at a time.
Yeah, building safe practices.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's hugely important. Like, we don't see enough training in the industry. Like, the standard,
Yes.
it's not high enough. You guys will know that.
Yes.
Doing what you do.
That's right.
So it's very important, and he does a great job. Yeah, and that's how he led me to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I remember our very first conversations was in that theater. And I started to know a little bit more about who you were and the training elements. So first of all, I think you were would I say you were the only female at that time in that class?
Maybe. I mean, that's pretty consistent for me, right?
Right.
I tend to be the only female in a lot of rooms that I walk into.
Right.
And there's very few, as you guys know, very few trainers that train privately within the private sector. There's
Yes.
very few programs. And to my knowledge, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm the only female, right?
Yeah, I think so too. And I also have to say this, but you were also a very strong, outgoing female.
Thank
okay?
you.
Which I think is not common. That's the best way to describe it.
Okay.
First of all,
Which is a great
yeah,
compliment.
100%.
There is another. We have Beata. Have you met Beata?
Yeah, I love
yeah.
Beata.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Beata is trained as well.
100%.
Yeah, she's great.
So the industry that we're talking about is security specifically, but
Yeah.
we could just broaden it to law enforcement.
Yeah.
And maybe what we can do, Brianna, is dive into more or less what you see from your eyes in the current industry of security. So when you look at training and the importance of training, what are you seeing from your perspective, from your lens? Is this something that is taken seriously with security companies? Is it something that is done just because it needs to be done? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it's a 50-50 split, to be honest with you. And I think that's a little bit sad when you just consider the liabilities associated and kind of the quality that clients are wanting, us to produce, right? I mean, like I said earlier, the bar that's kind of set in terms of the standard of security training, it's not very high. And so, again, you're then focused on the liability aspects that associate to that. There are very few companies that I think go above and beyond when it comes to security training that really invest, because it's hard to put these programs together. It's costly to run these programs. So I think a lot of people just kind of shy away from it. A lot of clients shy away from it. I think it's hugely important because, again, what are we trying to produce here? What is the end objective, right? We want to be able to handle people in safe ways. We want to build safe practices. Going through a security training program, which is 40 hours or a week, what is that really doing? Right? So where are we trying to go with the training that, we're wanting to see, and how are we implementing that into the teams that we're working with?
No, and listen, I think also to add, that's amazing. To add to what you're saying, I think part of the problem why so many companies are not in a position to provide training for their people, and I'm maybe going to just layer off here a layer of just kind of frustrations that I see, is the whole entire process, the RFP process.
Okay.
And that is where people are all underbidding to try to get the contract, and they put themselves in a position where not only are they paying their employees low, but now they've killed all budgets to train their people.
Yeah.
And I should explain quick, if you're not familiar, the RFP process is request for proposal.
Yes, or request for price. It has that
and it's essentially it's a process where a number of proponents would be well-meaning companies are hoping to vie for some work.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I think when I look at that, I see it also as a challenge for a trainer. You know what I mean? So, when people reach out to you, Brianna, they're reaching out to you because obviously they want to bring you in and get their people to a certain level.
That's right.
But are they doing it yearly? Are they doing it like yearly where like, I mean, across the board? I mean, obviously we know that there's some companies that 100% stick to that Bible, what needs to happen. What are your experiences around that?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been very lucky over the past few years to build a pretty healthy portfolio. I have some wonderful clients within there, and they are pretty consistent with their training. They want to produce a particular standard, and so I will train with them annually, sometimes, half a year, and then even quarterly. So it just depends on, what they're willing to invest. And for some of the clients that I'm working with, like that's in their people, and they want to see a better product. And, I'm very grateful to work with some wonderful teams. I really am. They apply themselves. They want to be there. They kind of live and breathe this. Maybe they have future aspirations. They believe in safe practices, and that helps, right? It's not like you're going into, these groups of people that they're just like, oh, I have to be here. I don't want to be here, right? They want to learn. Where can I put my hands on you? Why do I put my hands on you this way, right? How can I do this in the best way possible? So that's, really great.
And how important?
A dedicated team versus dragging their feet, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah. That's huge.
And how important, in your opinion, is it for, I mean, let's talk about security right now, but the world of protection, how important is it for people to have this training that have never had it before?
I think it's very important. I think it's, I'm sure you guys would, agree with me. It's crazy to me that we're expecting, I shouldn't say we're, right? But there are people, there are companies out there, and they're expecting for these security professionals to go out and to do some of these jobs and to play some of these roles. And they have the bare bone minimum. Like there's no security training, right? What are you expecting to achieve out of this? I did spend some time in an area manager role with a leading security firm, so I am aware of some of what you guys were talking about. I know the margins are slim. I think it's just so problematic across the board within this industry. I think we need to raise the standard collectively. Why is security only paying what it's paying? Like, let's bring that up so that we can start to standardize some of this advanced training.
Yeah, because it's a cycle that is not that fruitful. If you look at it, it's a low bar cycle. It's a cycle where clients don't pay much because they don't get much, and people who run the companies think, why make anything else happen because clients aren't going to pay, so they don't get a good product. And it's this cycle of literally.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
You're preaching some diamonds today, as I like to say.
Thanks.
So let me say this. We're the opposite of other companies. And let me explain that. Maybe people don't know this, but now you'll find out. We're probably one of the most expensive companies in Canada. Okay. And if people don't want to utilize our services because it's too expensive for them, they're more than happy to go with another company. But we find those same clients are coming back to us after their experience with other clients, with other companies. And that is because there's a thing that everyone hears all the time is you get what you pay for, right? What you just said right now resonated with me because I am really trying to, and we have amazing people in the organization that are trying to change the scenery. We use the word all the time, revolutionize the security industry.
Okay.
We say that over and over and over again, and it takes a lot of time and commitment. We have a lot of space in our facilities here.
Yeah.
And one thing that I like to do is share our space with other companies. And it throws people off because it's going to be, wait a second, I'm supposed to hate you. Why? What do you mean you're extending your space to me?
We're supposed to be competing.
We're supposed to be competing.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to do something in unison and raise the bar together if we're not working together?
Yeah, if we're always at odds and competing with one another.
So
and not friendly competition, like underbid, undermine,
exactly,
try to usurp a contract, or whatever.
Exactly. So I see all that, and I'm trying to change that, which is why I will publicly say it out, and I'm outspoken about it. I want to find out who these companies are so we can find a way to work together to raise the bar. And by raising the bar, you're bettering the service, you're paying your people who are the most important part of this equation. You're paying them proper living salaries or wages so they can basically be effective at the job. And who pays for it at the end? The client pays for it at the end. But the client will pay for it dearly if they don't make the right move. There is a client, I can't reference their name, and they basically had to get rid of their service provider.
Okay.
And the reason why they had to get rid of the service provider is because the amount of, incidents that were happening put them in a 20% loss threshold, which equates to millions. And if they had just applied that extra 20% and to a company that could do the job efficiently, they would not be in that situation. So I like what you're saying, Brianna. And I mean, for myself, again, the goal is to unite people, to unite entities that we can all together collectively raise the bar. But it's a difficult journey, and it's a journey that takes a lot of time. And I don't see it happening overnight. This is years
Yeah.
in the making.
Well, let me ask. I'm going to ask specifically because you're here.
Yeah.
From your perspective,
Sure.
where does your desire to be your best and to bring your best, where does that come from? Is it something you've always been? Did you have a moment where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna just change the way I do everything? I'm just curious what your journey's been.
Do you mean in terms of how I actually see the work that I do
Yeah.
and all of that? I think first and foremost, there has to be a personal buy-in, okay? You have to ask yourself, do I like what I stand for? Do I find value in the work that I'm doing? Is there a reward, here? If your answers to all of those questions are yes, 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 I would argue that it would be hard to challenge that, right? Like, how are you going to say that somebody is not able to do a satisfactory or a good job if they themselves don't have the buy-in piece, right? I'm not sure. Am I speaking to your question?
Perfect. Yeah, because
Okay.
it's about buy-in means by belief. You got to believe that it's worth it, that if you put the effort in, it's going to be at least accepted, it's going to be appreciated, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so perfect. So that's kind of like as a starting point. So what was it like for yourself? Is that something that you found yourself alone in having? Because you obviously bought in, right? And was it when you were like really young before even coming into the industry? Was there something else that you were doing that you said, you know what, I can take my skill set and my belief and my passion, and there's an opportunity here? And I ask because both of us, for Constantine and myself, we're in this industry because we saw, and this is the truth, we saw that it was quite delinquent.
Okay.
We'd had conversation and we were like, man, because we knew a lot of people that were in it. We had been and dabbled in it in different degrees and thought, if we could put something together here that is actually really good, some really cool things can come from that. That the problem in the industry was the opportunity. Okay, because if we
Right.
brought a solution. So just curious from your standpoint in your journey,
Yeah.
was there a moment, was there a defining moment where you said, I'm going to be the change? Or it's just something like, no, you've always embodied it. Since kindergarten, things had to be done properly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I can speak on like one singular defining moment. I think, everybody has experiences in their life, and I've certainly had some experiences in my life which, maybe haven't been the most positive. I've certainly stood tall in the face of some adversity. And, I think when that happens to you, you're kind of forced to sit down and look at, who am I? What do I believe? What do I want to leave behind? How do I want to be viewed? What can I do to help? Maybe in situations where I didn't have that same thing extended to me. I've always felt within me a want to help people, a want to bring people together, to do my best to serve people. Like, my dream growing up was always to be a cop, right? Like, my parents said from a young age, they're like, whose kid was this? Because we had no cops in our family.
Right.
And I was always like, oh, I want to be a policewoman, right?
Where did that come from? Do you know?
You know what? I think I feel like I'm a very loyal person. I don't know if I just feel like almost I've felt a call to service. I just want to do good. And that's something that kind of challenges me today with, what we see of people. I feel we see a lot of entitlement. We see a lot of people not wanting to work hard for things. Their boss blinks at them the wrong way and their hands are thrown up like, I'm out of here, right? I feel nobody is God-fearing. Nobody is law-fearing. And it's like, well, people, your integrity is important. Doing good is important. There's somebody that you're going to have to answer to at one point or another, and you're not above the law. You're subject to it. So you know what I mean? I think...
No, that's great. That's great.
That
So I
is
guess
good.
so I guess you felt like you felt a responsibility for your community to a degree.
That's
right?
a great way of putting it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying things that would potentially expose your age. In a sense, when I say that is, you're saying things that are, we just talked to some PEEL inspectors and constables earlier before you today, and what they were talking about is they used the word entitlement. That is in today's age right now.
Yeah.
Okay, when you look at 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and you look at now, are you seeing any things right now that are blocking people's mindsets from just getting to their goals? Are you noticing anything at all? And by the way, it doesn't have to be security related. It can be anything. Just the way people view how work should be, the way work ethic is demonstrated, humility, all that. Have you noticed any shifts at all?
I've definitely noticed some shifts. And I mean, I don't know how far off topic we want to get here, but I think what I see a lot is I see the wrong people in positions of power, wrong people,
Wow.
leading a group of people. And, like, I don't know if these people are carefully selected because you don't know what you don't know. So let me just put this guy up here who's going to think he knows something. And when he's challenged, he doesn't actually have the ability to think rationally about it or think differently about it, right? So he's just following suit because that's all he knows. So I think there is definitely that's problematic. And I think we're just living in a time, honestly, where, people will skimp on their rent to get the latest gadget or to fill their face with Botox. And we're living in a time where, we'll take every handout. People want everything given to them, right? We're self-serving. Like, my needs are, the only needs. And I think it's very sad. And I think that translates into a lot of the problems that we're seeing, not only from a security standpoint or law enforcement standpoint or, people, you know what I mean, in general.
Right.
But, sorry, I'm saying the wrong thing here. I think that does translate for, people just in general. It's like, what are we breeding?
I think you touched on something incredible.
That's good.
Very astute. That's incredible, because if our society as a whole is becoming more selfish,
and we're so superficial.
Yeah, we can see it. Again, like, no one has to put a litmus test to us. We see it all the time. We had talked about, like, that moment where if someone was being victimized, that, you're a born protector if you would intercede. But at the same time, and when you brought this up in an earlier example, it is quite sad that there's some people in that situation that would just take their phone out and just start filming it. Okay, so it's not even that they're not willing to participate. They now become literally a spectator of someone else being hurt or harmed, or, like, it is kind of a joke. But that gives you an idea, so I ask this, if our society is becoming more selfish, okay, and let's just acknowledge that it is, we're seeing the trends within it. It makes certain jobs that you need to be selfless at the core very difficult to embrace.
Yeah, absolutely.
To understand, to walk in and to be willing to make the sacrifice.
Yeah.
What do you think it takes? Because there's obviously, I'll speak from my own behalf. I was very selfish before. Everything I did was for myself, to serve me, to get mine. I had a moment for me where I was literally awoken from that. It was a very defining moment. To understand what it meant to be selfless, I started to see that's the best way to live.
Okay.
It is truly the best way to live.
Well, yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, do you have that kind of similar outlook that, doing, is this industry and being in it and somehow give you a feeling of real self-worth because you're actually, you're doing something that's worthwhile, or, I'm just curious what your thought is on it.
Like, from a personal standpoint, definitely. I love the work that I'm doing. I'm proud to be in this role, especially as a female in this role. I've made waves, I'm making waves, and I like that. I like the feedback that I get from my clients. You come out, you work around the clock with us. You're always, available to us, whether it's phone, email, coming down just to have a chat, look at some video footage. And, that I like that. That appeals to me. In terms of, roles, whether that's working within special capacities within the security industry or whether that's law enforcement, I think it definitely takes a special type of person to come into a job. Like, let's look at policing, for instance. It takes a special kind of person to come into a job where you see, the worst of things. I have some friends that are police officers, and even if I didn't, right, it's like you have to just consider, what are these people seeing? What are they, living, touching, smelling, breathing day in and day out, sacrificing time with their families, their sleeping schedules, absolutely everything.
It's a difficult job.
A difficult job. And, while I think reasonably most people would look at it and go, okay, that has to be a role that would bring you, tremendous reward. I think it's a job where, especially in today's, day and age, there's so little praise. There's so little, what am I trying to say? Like, there's so little, praise for the role, right?
Yeah.
It's completely, like, not significant. It's not, I don't believe that we look at some of these roles how we should.
Can you speak to that? That's exactly what I was going to ask you next, because you're proudly in this industry.
Oh yeah.
You're definitely someone who is high caliber, high performance. It's not like let's be honest. If you said, "Oh yeah, I work in security," we know that it doesn't have great weight. People around the punch bowl aren't going to be like, "Oh, you got to talk to Brianna because she's in security."
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean? Like, there's always you could be at the highest level. We make a joke that just saying you're in security, you could have been supporting, like a Secret Service detail
Yep.
in our nation.
Oh yeah, it's a broad
Right.
span.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could be the guy with this funky reflective vest at some plaza smoking weed with the guys in the neighborhood.
True.
Okay, and you're both security.
Fair enough.
Okay,
Right.
right? And I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're a bouncer too.
Yeah.
How many teeth have you like broken
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
being proud in the role. What would you say to someone who kind of looks at it a little sideways and think like, why are you in that? Like,
Well, I think just, like there is so much opportunity within it. And you can't really fault somebody for being ignorant, right? And I don't mean that in a rude way. I mean, like,
Yeah.
they're just without knowledge,
yeah,
right?
sorry, Toronto. Okay.
I'm
joking,
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
No, but really, right? I mean, first of all, there are people that we come across every day. You can have a conversation with them and there can be a takeaway for them, right? I like those kind of people,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But there are unfortunately so many people that you can have however many conversations you're going to have with them and they don't budge, right? And that's the sad reality of that, right? I mean, I'm proud to be working, like most of the work that I do is with specialized groups. So whether that's in housing or whether that's in healthcare, my background in training has been in healthcare. That's a specialized group. And then, working with firms that, focus a little bit more on the training, like you guys, for instance, right? Like there's different levels of security out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's not up to me to educate you on what those are. So, you know what I mean? But I
What
think
would you say then personally if someone was just like, I want to try something new. I need a new challenge. And we know that for the large majority, they would not be looking in this direction.
Yeah.
We know that there's literally thousands of examples across Toronto on why they would not want to be part of this industry. Like it's literally front and center. Like it's any building you walk in, it's probably not making you dream, oh, one day I'm going to make my mark in this industry.
Right.
It is what it is. So it like, being gold. And we think, that's kind of what Constantine asked you to be, on today is because of your mentality toward the work. You are truly like separate in how you approach it.
Thank you.
And it's not just like, oh, I have my own soapbox stance. It's like, no, like what you do every day is to make a change in the industry. So if
Thank
being,
you.
yeah, and I think because you're carving kind of a new path, not just for, it's not just a gender thing. It's not just for the females in the industry. It's for
Right.
anybody
That's right.
who's just saying like, how do I buy in and be a part of something bigger? What would you say to the person who's like, I want to try something new? How would you kind of get them to even look in this direction? What does it offer?
Wow. Well, I mean, it offers like never-ending growth to be able to be in this industry
Yeah,
because
that's great.
we're not, I know, like, I mean, there are so many areas within security that you can grow your skill set. I mean, whether that's going to be in your abilities to effectively communicate, whether that's going to be to build up your de-escalative abilities, whether that's going to be able to safely and effect an arrest or to go hands-on for whatever purpose. I mean, the opportunities are never ending for your own expansion. I mean, for anybody who would be looking to get into the security industry, especially within a specialized group or working with a company like you guys that offer, executive protection, close protection, that type of stuff, what do you want your days to look like? Like, are you comfortable sitting at an office chair and being cozy with a 9 to 5, a little bit more of a mundane role? If you are, that's okay. And this
All
might
good.
not be for you. But are you looking for a dynamic opportunity? Are you looking for the abilities to communicate with several people, to grow within your knowledge of the law, to help to bridge gaps, to help people, to make connections, right? So if you are a person like that, I don't think that the buy-in to the industry is too hard.
Yeah.
So this is
that's
kind of
so good.
Yeah, and Brianna, that's great. And it's kind of almost what we're talking about out there. It was the people that want something, but they don't know what the work entails, right?
Okay.
So I'll give you an example. A lot of people that come here in this organization, their aspirations are to get into policing.
Yeah.
And they know that the world of security is kind of close when it comes to like how maybe schedules may be. You might be working nights,
Yeah.
weekends, this, that, the other. You might have to do this, you might have to do that. And then suddenly when it's time to kind of be put in that position, they back off. And I say that because, again, we say this all the time, but if you can't do well with the small, how will you do well with the many, right? How
Okay,
well?
fair enough.
And for us, I think people's mindsets are their biggest obstacle. They either want something that they don't want. I mean, as crazy as that sounds.
Or they want something and they're not sure how to get there. or maybe they in fact don't want it, but they've just never tried yet, so they're unaware of that,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Again, as you said, if
that's
they're
very well rounded.
if they're not aware,
Yeah.
I think it's great because even when someone says, "I want to be a cop," we were just speaking with two very experienced cops with 50 years experience together,
Yeah.
and they said a lot of applicants don't understand the job.
Right.
They don't even know what does it mean to be a cop day to day.
Yeah.
That's part of the process of
Yeah.
them getting
And-
them ready.
And I think that's also a very big problem as to why police are continued, or why they continue to be perceived the way that they're perceived, because the general public, they don't understand the nitty and the gritty. They don't understand, all of the different priorities these people are out here managing, right? They associate their views or maybe their experiences. And we're living in a very diverse city, in a very diverse part of Canada, right? Where we have a lot of diversity in terms of the cultures that are here. And you have to ask yourself, in some of these cultures, when you consider what policing means, it might not be what we consider policing to be here in North America. There might be some corruption and, all of those types of things. So,
Yeah, I think kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, it would be cool if, as people listen to this, they start to think, you know what? Maybe security is something that would be interesting. I think that no one can do the work for you. You got to seek it out. There's no way that this will be spoon-fed. But I 100% agree. It is kind of an industry as big and as large as it is worldwide. It's very small in Canada. Like if you compare it to how integral it is to society in other parts of the world, yes, because those parts of the world aren't safe.
right.
Okay, so we kind of have
Fair enough.
Yeah, we have the luxury of having a very safe society, but there's still so many aspects of it. Whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's designing safe spaces for schools, workplaces. Like, I totally agree that it's literally like so many incredible opportunities for growth. You could create entire niches in the industry that have never been even considered yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's because it's how it's viewed. Look, we're trying to push the Solicitor General to change the standard of security. So right now, to get your license, you do this 40 hours, and I'm doing little air quotes because I don't know how some people even get through these 40 hours and they can't speak English.
And which, when you think
But
of
I'm
it,
talking
you
about
can't
this in
scoff at
general.
40 hours.
No,
40
you
hours
can't.
is a long
It
time.
is, but it's not.
Right? You
It's
know what I
not.
mean?
It's not policed properly, Mike.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
There's just ways around it all the
I
time.
would agree with
yeah.
that.
So there's this and that
Or
now.
even the standard of the content. Is it really testing?
And that's the other thing. The
Yeah.
standard of the content is not relevant to a lot of things that we do in security.
Fair enough. I agree with that.
So you have
Because
that.
again, 40 hours is a lot. If you
It
really
is.
think, if you tell this guy you need to train for 40 hours,
Right.
Okay, it is a
Right.
lot. You should get a lot from it.
100%.
Okay, but
yeah.
then also at the same token, like 40 hours, yes, anybody would agree that's a worthwhile chunk of time.
Yes.
Okay, but 40 hours to get into a brand new career, right?
Yes.
And like you said, when it's not policed properly,
Yes.
that's problematic.
That's right.
And that's why we continue to have this mentality of the of the security industry, which is that dumb mall cop.
Yes.
That
Yes.
big, fat, sloppy guy with a donut
Yeah.
playing with his phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And people don't understand how broad actually the world of security is, right?
Yes.
That's right.
They associate it with the lazy, maybe residential security
Yeah.
guards
Yeah.
sitting at a desk, not paying attention. They're waiting to get in to come see their guest for 25 minutes,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
They're failing to understand that
We all have
there's-
these stories. We all.
Yeah.
The other
Oh,
day,
yeah.
I was driving with my wife. We're in Yorkville. No joke. We're driving kind of on the outskirts of it and looking into this gorgeous condo that is there. And the security guard, I'm not even joking. You know how they have, like, in really nice lobbies for hotels, they have kind of like paneling and nice shelving.
Yep.
He sat on the shelf
Oh, no.
by the window that
Yeah.
faced the adjacent street.
Yeah.
And he was leaned his head against the window and he was sleeping
Oh.
in the
Oh my goodness.
like literally like 30 feet from the desk,
Yes.
perched against the window.
Right.
Okay. Anyways.
And look. And look.
Really nauseating.
Yeah.
It was
100%.
like my wife saw it. She's like, "What? Hold on,
Yeah.
this guy's sleeping."
This is who you work with every day?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing. This message to the Solicitor General is we need to change the industry. And we actually put recommendations. It's on our website as well. We have like 10 recommendations, but a couple of those recommendations involve training. And that is whatever the ministry gives you. Okay, great. Thank you. Now let's get into real.
Thank you, and
Let's get
build
into
on
some
that.
real training right now.
Yeah.
And the training thresholds that we put in there are literally kind of a lot what we do with the Stay Safe programs. You need to have a certain percentage to pass, and that
Yeah.
percentage is going to actually have you study. And if you don't study it, you're going to fail.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You have to work
Oh,
through
yeah.
scenarios.
Brianna, we got people that come in here that they pass their whole process, they get into the training, and then they fail in their training. It's like your employment is now done because you did not take this seriously. We can't take you seriously because now
Yeah.
you're a liability. And they get surprised because for them, they thought, wait, all I got to do is just come.
Just
Yeah.
show up.
And just show up and I'm going to pass.
Don't you just need another body?
Well,
But-
literally.
And I think that goes back to their introduction to the industry through the 40-hour course.
Yes.
Right.
I've met with people that are brand new, and some of them wonderful.
Yes.
I've met with others, they're lost.
Right.
And I'm considering myself as a trainer. I'm not putting my name off on any certificate if I don't see that you're able to demonstrate
That's
safe
right.
practices. And if I read through your exams and I'm like, they don't understand charter. They don't understand crim code. They don't understand use of force applications. Why am I going to put myself in a liable situation to let you further your career within an area that you don't have the competence?
But Brianna, we don't
Yeah.
have the money to pay them to train.
Yeah.
That's the
Well, I mean,
response.
listen,
Yeah, that
if
is
we,
the
If
response.
we
That is
had
the
this
response.
standard, you couldn't hire anybody.
So look,
Okay,
a lot of companies, I'm trying to unite the industry, but at the same time, I'm going to rat a little bit because at the end of the day, if you cannot safely and properly go into a business model and put a bid in that will help you get your person to be the best they can be, because guess what? They're representing your brand. You have no place in this industry. And it's only, look, my prediction is this. COVID came in, it did a lot of things. And we're going to see the after effects financially, recession, all that, inflation. That's all coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
But one thing I can tell you that's going to be happening where I don't think a lot of companies are really paying attention to is this mindset shift for people that no longer want to do what they used to do.
Yeah,
So if I was
that's
getting
true.
paid $16 an hour working at a job, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And security companies, I've seen some of their CEOs vocally go on say the industry needs to change. We need to do this. We need to do that. No, what you need to do is stop bidding so low. And if you feel you can't get the business, then you're setting yourselves up to fail. So what's going to happen is, in my opinion, or you're going to see over the course of the next year that the staffing ratios of security is going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse because the sad thing is that there's a lot of people that are working this job that are completely unqualified to work it. Completely.
Yeah.
They are actually called by their own companies warm bodies or pylons.
Yeah.
They're referenced as that, which is
Yeah.
terrible.
They're a stand-in.
Yeah, they're standing, but it's going to get worse. And look, at the end of the day, for the companies that are actually out there pushing and moving the bar, they will be the ones that are going to benefit, but it's going to be at the cost of something bad happening.
You got
And
it.
God forbid something happened in our city. A lot of people think, oh, we're Canada, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Something flies into the CN Tower, it's going to change everything.
You
And
got
we,
it.
we want to
And
make sure that doesn't happen.
And whenever that
Yeah.
happens, isn't it funny? The first question is, what did security do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Always.
it's always the first question. So
Yeah.
you had zero expectation, never wanted to pay for it, but when when something happens, you're looking for security to actually,
Yeah.
respond and adequately
That's
respond.
right. That's right.
So
I think like you guys went through some rebranding. I think that's important for every company to really do. It really comes down to quality over quantity. Why do I care to have, all of these dinky little accounts that doesn't pay me well, doesn't pay my people, well, when I could have maybe less accounts that pays well, that's going to produce a good quality, that's
Yeah.
going to keep us competitive,
Yes.
right? That's going to keep everybody safe.
Yeah.
It really comes down to quality over
Brianna,
quantity.
you know why people do it? It's because greed. I think greed is a big factor in a lot of people's decisions because,
Yeah.
because they haven't bought in. You
look-
can own a business in this industry and not even be bought into it.
Yeah, look,
you're just making money.
I'm going to tell a story right now. I can't obviously use
Story
a name.
time. I love
I
it.
can't-
Story
I
time.
can't-
with
I can't-
Constantine. I'm gonna put a little song in
Where's
there.
the storytelling mindset? So I can't tell you the name of the client.
Sorry, wrong music.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't tell you the name of the client, but it's a massive client. Massive client.
Is this a massive client of yours?
No.
Okay.
We've done work with them, but
Okay.
they wanted us to come on board and take care of some of their venues.
Okay.
And this client, again, worldwide known. And I was talking to the director of security. He goes, Constantine, I can provide you these sites. All you have to do, he goes, is just come in at a rate that can slightly bump this other company out because they're on their way out. And that rate was like $24 an hour. I said, let me get this straight.
And by bump, come under.
No, basically, they're going to lose the contract.
Your hourly rate to them
Would be 24,
No,
right?
yeah.
And I said, look, man, I go,
what is that?
yeah, I said, understand for myself, if I do that,
Not worth it.
it's not worth it. But in the sense, this is what we pay our people.
Yeah.
Let alone invoice that. He goes, but Constantine, all you got to do is get some minimum wage guys into this model. But I'm like, but listen, you're asking as a director of security for top level talent,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
you're telling you want to pay this.
Yeah.
And then he says this to me. He goes, Constantine, all these companies out there, they're making these moves. And he kind of shifted his hands foot by foot by foot. And he goes, you're making these little squeakly millimeter moves. He goes, you got to look at that. I go, I cannot buy into providing a service where I cannot, first of all, take care of our people and deliver what we're branded for, and that is high level security.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't, honestly, Brianna, and I know Mike knows this as well, I could care less if you were to drop ample amounts of dollars on the plate in contracts and scatter them, we can give you all this. If it doesn't make sense for the vision, if it doesn't make sense to revolutionize the industry and make it better, to me, I'm not going to be interested in that. But you know what? There's a lot of companies, because of greed, that'll take something that they can't even staff.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I know those clients.
Right.
And
It's scary to me because, and this is, again, look, for me, if someone gets to meet me as another entity, as another owner, I'll do everything in my power to help them get there, because what they're not realizing is they're slowly killing their brand. Because do you want to be known as that company? Well, I don't care. I'm making all these millions. Well, you should care, because it's killing your brand and can only go for so long.
Right.
Look, Astroworld. Astroworld happened, right?
Yeah.
And right now, suddenly now, all the attention is on concert venues and security and what should have happened, and the focus is security right now.
Right.
And you're hearing stories of people that were working the thing that said they weren't trained, they were given this very short intro,
quit the day of because they thought that it wasn't.
Exactly. So when you see all that, you have to look at that and say, what makes you think it's not going to happen in Canada?
Right.
Like, I mean, it may not be the exact same skill, but something's going to happen. And if it does happen, you at that point are going to have to say, what did I do differently right now? And the world is giving us signals. They're throwing out signs every day, guys. Times are changing. You have to pay attention to them.
I want to say something to those who kind of shape some of these expectations. Simon Sinek, he has a great book called Start With Why.
Okay.
That why, once you get the answer to why, all the what's kind of dictated.
Okay.
So if you know why I want to be a singer, it now changes your diet, where you move based on humidity, what you're going to do with your day, all these things.
Signs purpose.
All that's
motivating.
exactly.
Yeah.
So another great quote that he says is, don't do business with people who need what you have.
Okay.
Do business with people who believe what you believe.
Ooh, I like that.
It's really good. And what you were saying earlier is, if you have a client base that doesn't believe in good pay, finding good people, and having that better, more healthy cycle for growth. And first off, a really good client is an educated client. Take the time to explain what makes the security service superior or better or gives it value. Okay. And also, if you have clients that don't care, don't do business with them.
Yeah.
Because they might just pay you that $1 and you're making 15 cents per head.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're part of the problem right now. So, and I think the more people that say, like, you know what, we're going to buy into a standard, we're going to invest it in our people, and the trade-off will be that the industry will have better and higher caliber people. Yeah. Then whoever wins the contracts to the best business, whatever business can service it. Do you want every single contract that's out there?
Hell no.
Why?
Because to me, I know what we can do very well at. And I think the way I look at it, Mike, is when we have the best selection of what we want to do, we can excel at that, right?
Yeah, and is there enough space?
There is so much space. I mean, look, our specialty is corporate events and close protection, and now it's healthcare. And healthcare came to us in dire necessity and need when COVID kicked in.
Right.
But now that we're in healthcare, it's like, wow, this is a fantastic industry as well. So now that we're in healthcare, close protection, corporate events, I'm not looking to say we want to do now commercial, we want to do industrial, we want to do malls, we want to do this.
Canine, mobile,
canines.
whatever.
We've identified ourselves as a company to be like, this is what we're good at.
Right.
This is what we want to stick to.
Good.
And I think at the end of the day, I don't think anybody in the world is good at everything. I mean, Michael Jordan tried baseball. I'm sorry, you weren't that good. Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Stick to the game. Stick to what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
And I think if
grow proficient, spend enough time within something so that you can grow proficient within that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and opportunities come from there.
Yeah. So, Brianna, when we look at all this and talking about all this, again, the stuff that you're doing and you are contributing to make that better.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of people, we talked about this, there's a lot of, the security industry, the law enforcement industry is very heavily male-dominated.
Yeah, male-dominated.
And we obviously are an organization that 100% wants to bring in as many females as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
Okay?
There's huge value to having women on your team.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What are some advice that you can give women hearing right now that maybe are looking at jumping in? You being someone that has tapped into an industry that has a massive need, what are some advice that you would give?
You know what? The number one thing is, again, it's a self buy-in piece. Why do I want to do this? Do I believe this? Is this something that I live and breathe, right? Like, I love being a woman, right? I love the fact that I'm a daughter, that I can be a sister, that I'm somebody's partner, that I can take title as a wife and a mom if I choose that. I love that I can find success in a male-dominated industry or a blended industry, or a women-led industry or women-oriented industry. That's cool, right? There's no shame in that. Every single person brings a unique skill set. Everybody that you come across is going to show you a display. They're going to act a certain way, and there's going to be a takeaway for you. Do I like their delivery? Do I like what they're doing? Do I see benefit in this? Do I not like what they're doing? Do I think that that's problematic? There's always going to be an opportunity for us to grow within our own competencies, within our own skill sets, and we have to allow that to happen. I mean, you have to consider the role that you're considering getting into, and you need to go in with confidence. I don't mean confidence as in, be super proud, proud to the point that nobody can teach you anything, but go in and be confident. Like, all I can really do is speak for myself. I've worked with, even when I worked man security, pretty well on units, all men, and then growing through different stages in different areas, predominantly men. I was usually, like I said at the very beginning, I'm usually the only female in a room. And even outside of security, I own a successful small business. I do, home renovations, kitchen remodeling. I work primarily with men there too. Have confidence in what you're doing, believe in what you're doing, and just do the best job that you can do, right? Everybody's going to bring something a little bit different to the table, and that's how things work.
Well, confidence oozes from you.
Yeah, it's
Thank
great.
you.
Brianna, when I mean, that's the first thing I can take away is like, she's very confident. And to me, that is something that is an incredible thing to have and possess, because it's, whether you like it or not, if you have it, you can see this aura around somebody that's confident.
And you own your role. I love what you say.
100%,
Your perspective, it's important. For us, we talk about it often because half the populace is female. Okay. And to have that representation on our teams is important, not just because of like a 1-to-1 ratio. We're not looking at it analytically, because we've seen that when you actually have strong females on the team that own the role, as you do as well, we're way more effective. Okay. And we've had clients have kind of whispered in our ear, like, I mean, maybe can you get some maybe bigger guys, or like, I mean, you have quite a lot of females today, and then let's have that uncomfortable conversation.
Yes.
Why does it matter?
Right.
Well, I mean, because if something happened, so what if we prevent nothing from happening because we de-escalate it and we treat people with respect? Well, I mean, there's always that one person. Okay, so if there is, then and then once you have it, they realize it's not they don't have a real good valid point.
No,
it's just like
it's common misconception.
Yeah, it is a true misconception that the goon will do a good job.
You got it.
Okay, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is that in the industry as well, I think men, and I've seen this firsthand, have a hard time with an assertive female.
Okay, so I can definitely comment on that.
Yes.
But, I think that's definitely true. I think because of what we are used to roles being historically, that I don't know if it's like a challenge to the ego, that like I have the strong female who came in, she's good, she's competent, she's capable, she's doing her thing. And now it's like you feel some type of complex or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever the case
it's
may
probably
be.
all of the above.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Guys, like, and I'll tell you honestly, speaking candidly, I have walked into several training programs, female trainer, right? Bunch of guys, right?
Yeah.
Sitting down, and I can identify pretty quickly who's not bought in, right? Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's a personal bias type thing. They're just looking at me, probably considering like, what's she going to do? Whatever, right? I've never moved forth with the mentality of let me show you, because for the simple fact that I know what I know, the simple fact that I've perfected my own skill, that I'm confident in the skill that I can show you, that does the talking for itself. And what's very interesting is the largest buy-in is usually from those people. It's those people coming up saying, my God, this was a great few days with you. Like, you're great. Like, you've helped me either build a skill or finesse my skill set, and like, let's keep in touch. And
that's amazing. So look, this is like well beyond our industry. What you just shared is the confidence in your role to keep the composure, to not be baited into doing antics and overcompensating so that you can get approval from, and let's call them us.
No.
You're not getting it's not that attitude. If it's projected on you, it's not from men. That's from boys. That is the boy in the man.
I like
I like
that.
that, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
and that's the
I like
truth.
that too.
Yeah.
You know, we did a training before we got our healthcare team ready, and I kind of said it to the team, and I said, listen, because we had a lot of females on the team, and we acknowledged that, yeah, they're a big part of the team. And I said to the females, I said, you don't need to be less of a woman for that guy to feel more of a man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the lie. Okay.
Yeah.
So be fully who you are, represent it. And I think, you know, your words right there, that's exactly what we need. You know, we have been able to see some great females on our team really step up, really own their role. And our teams are just like, they're incredible with them. And
The diversity in
Yeah.
a team, sorry to cut you off, is so incredibly important. It's taking a man and it's taking a woman and it's putting them in the exact same position, you know, privy to the exact same training,
Yeah.
and then watching them do the job together. And it's just watching the back and forth just to see how we're able to work together. And honestly, like, I don't know why so many people are so discouraged, because again, believe in it. Believe in the work that you're doing. You know, take the time to educate yourself to grow better within what you're doing, and just move forth and let people see that for themselves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I work with so many guys, and you guys know some of them, great men, really great guys, right? I've never really felt from the guys that I work closely with, you know, like they're envious or they feel challenged because I'm doing something. If anything, it's the opposite. They're like, you know, when I first met you, you know, okay, so you're tall, you know, whatever, blonde. You know, my nickname in the industry for a while was Barbary, right?
Okay.
Like, okay, I'll take it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But, you know, and then it was like, but then we saw you getting down and talking about things, and you knew what you knew, and then you were able to show things, and your attention to detail and the skills that you're able to train on, like, that got us the buy-in. Like, now we love you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so there's that relationship there, and
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's amazing. They're grateful to have you on the team.
yeah,
100%,
definitely,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, well, look, you are, Brianna, whether you know it or not, I can tell you are making changes in an industry that is needed.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of people that are going to listen to this, especially, I mean, I'm not even say, I was going to say especially women, but I'm going to say the men too.
Yeah.
It's like a wake-up call almost to them as well, because at the end of the day, what gets into the way of men and in a male-dominant industry is their ego.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes
Yeah,
down to. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
And I mean, that's all that they've known for so long,
Right.
right? So it's kind of hard to challenge that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing it well.
Thank you.
And you articulate very well. You communicate well. I've seen some of the presentation setups that Steve put you guys through when you're coming going to the mix. And to me, look, that is what is needed. And it's actually literally we're all in our own entities contributing or trying to contribute to make something better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we just need more buy-in. That's all we really need. Is
Yeah,
more
I think it's
buy-in from
exciting. I mean, this is our first time having a chance to sit and talk and meet, and I think
Yeah.
you're really young for you to be doing this now, and to be making your mark now in the way that you have. Think of it like the next 10 years, what you can accomplish, what you can kind of.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think
I
and
appreciate
10
that a
years
lot.
is nothing. If you really think about it, like think 10 years ago what you're doing.
That's how long I've been in this industry.
Yeah, see, it's not
right?
long. So imagine 10 years
Crazy.
what you'll be tackling. Imagine, 10 years after that what you'll be shaping and guiding. I'm really I guess excited to see kind of what your career is going to look like. It's
Cool,
pretty
thank
cool.
you.
Brent,
Yeah.
tell us just right now for everybody
Yeah.
listening, there's going to be entities listening. If they want to partake and educate and uplift their standards, how do they find you? Do you have a website, handle, or is it just more or less? It's
No
like the Matrix.
website,
It's like the Matrix. You get
No
this.
handle. Like the Matrix.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
You stand on your roof and you put up
Yeah.
a Brianna symbol
There,
into the
there you
sky.
go. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I like it. Let's build one
Yeah,
of
let's
those.
do that. Okay, sounds good. I'll get a Fiverr artist on it right now.
Honestly, it's really great. Like I said, my portfolio has continued to build. At this point, it's mostly word of mouth. I've gotten, a lot of positive feedback from my clients, and then they say to whether it's a healthcare facility or another agency, I have this trainer. She's worked out really well with our teams. We've seen great improvement. And honestly, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Like I said, I am proud, because when my clients call me up and they go, you know what, we just had conversations with whether it was healthcare professionals in a healthcare setting, and they complimented, wow, over the past couple of years, there's been huge change in what we've seen relative to security, or, the police that the security guards are working with are complimenting your guards, saying, like they're able to de-escalate, gain physical control with, such few tools, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge for me. And so at this point, it has become word of mouth, and I'm very happy. And again, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I have a lot of pride in the fact that I'm building a better quality and a better standard. And like I said, I feel very privileged to work with some of the teams and clients that, I do. So again, word of mouth, you guys have my contact details. If anyone was to see this and say, hey, maybe we want to try her out or have a conversation, you guys are more than welcome to give out my email, my number.
Okay. Nice. Do you do consulting?
Not really. I have in the past, but not as of late. Yeah.
Okay, you should strongly consider it. Again,
Consulting.
I might just be, I'm just literally
There's
shooting from the hip,
market,
but literally for you to have the sense and sensibility to come alongside a potential client, whether someone who just maybe knows a lot about the industry or not, I think to have your perspective, they would be greatly impacted by having your insight.
100%.
Okay, and
Cool.
even if it's just saying like, listen, I do know a couple of companies, or not even going to that stance. I would even say that like, if they are looking to hire a security provider or make a change, you can guide them.
Yeah, I
You
can.
someone who could just be like, look, I can tell you straight, and part of it, why it's important, and I've seen it because I've been in those rooms. A lot of the people who make these decisions, especially in kind of the hospitality industry, are females. Okay, and a lot of the times they're not actually really listened to in terms of what they're looking for, because you have these closed-minded men who in some way in this little foolish, boys club aren't really taking them seriously.
Fair enough.
So I really say, I mean, and I say that just being completely transparent. If they could have kind of your insight and you can say, like, listen, this is nonsense, and this is what you need to focus on. This is why it's important. This is, there might be something there. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is good.
I mean, I want to thank you for coming down. I know you came from a little distance to come down here.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can't wait for people to hear this, and we will 100% push out your contacts and what you're doing to those that are looking at bettering the brand. I think it's an incredible thing that you're representing, and we're very happy to have you come down here.
Thank you. Honestly, like I was pumped to get the invite out. I love your shows. I love what you guys do, and I follow your podcasts. You guys have had some great people on here, whether, subject matter experts like Steve Somerville or some tremendous Toronto police officers. You guys have had so many great people on here, and it's really nice to see you guys utilizing your platform to educate, because knowledge is power, right? There's never, you can never know too much. So I think it's really great what you're doing, and I was very excited to be brought on. So thank you guys very much.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it's a pleasure. It was amazing.
Brianna, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
Brianna.
you.
All right, guys.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.